Stuff you should do. I don't know. You turn the light up. Hannah. I had no clue. That's your part. That's your part. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome. Just breathe, Doc. Just breathe. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another edition, good God, of Real Talk with K and J. I am Jay, aka the dog.
And I am K, aka Cat.
You ready?
Yeah. Hey, Jocelyn.
We'll be back again for another topic. Another topic.
Thank you,
another
love.
topic. Hey, Dwayne in the building.
Hey, brother.
You back for another topic.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
We slowly getting into this topic for some reason or another.
Okay, we can work it out.
It's going all work itself out when you get to preaching.
Okay.
It's your topic, remember. Okay, so today's topic.
Girl, it's all the time. You gotta understand. It's not only on Wednesday. It's every day. It's every day. It's every day. But anyway, let's jump right on into this because we know how fast this hour goes by. The topic for tonight is if they would, what?
If they wanted to, they would.
The continuation a little bit of last week's topic, and for those of you who were on last week, you know we had a great conversation last week. Absolutely great. When do you choose you? And this is kind of like I said, a continuation of if they wanted to, they would, and that goes with so many people in your life. If they wanted to, they would. There are some things that we ask people to do, or we continue to ask people to do, and they don't do. If they wanted to, they would. Some things you wouldn't have to ask them to do, and some things you ask them to do once, and then there's no need to ask again. That goes back to, when do you choose you? Hey, boo. When do you choose you when your asking is going unnoticed, undone, unresponded to, all of those things? Like I said, these two, last week's conversation kind of rolled over into this week because we had right. Sometimes you only have, sometimes, I mean, you have to ask some things because you can't automatically assume that they know. You can't assume that people feel the same way you feel or have the same desires that you have. So you have to ask sometimes. But some things are automatic. Some things there's no need to ask. And if you do,
all the time, bro.
and some things, if you do ask, there's not a continuous ask. There you don't have to beg people to do things that they really want to do. If somebody wants to be with you, you don't have to beg them to be with you. If somebody wants to do anything for you, you don't have to beg them to do it. If it's what they want to do, if it's what you want them to do, then that's when we get into the continuing to ask, the begging, almost, the all of those type of things. So like I said, some of the things that we talked about last week are kind of going to come back around and be intertwined in this conversation.
We do exactly what we say we're going to do, which is exactly what we want to do. Nobody forces you to do anything.
They shouldn't have to.
Nobody forces you to do anything. But there should not always be a predisposed belief that an individual should do things for you because you're in a relationship or courtship or dating. If they wanted to, they would. If people needed to get to a place where understanding is everything, then you have to have that conversation first. This goes back to expectations, and this goes back to conversations and communication. If you're not having it, then I don't know. You can assume all you want to, and we all know what happens when you assume. I think as far as from a man's concept, we are perceived one way, and we think maybe totally the opposite. Because most men, whether they realize it or not, whether they'll admit it or not, know exactly what we're going to do, how much we're going to do, and how much we're not going to do. I'm only going to this limit. I'm only going to this level. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Speed on before you get peed on. If it didn't work, you got to let it go. Why do we hold on and keep pushing individuals and keep pushing and keep asking and keep asking? And the moment that you start asking, that asking turns into begging. When you get tired of the same thing happening to you, you'll make the effort.
When do you choose you?
The effort will always be on the front end. It will never be on the back end. If you're putting effort on the back end, then you're trying to salvage and save. Save and salvage. If you're putting it in on the front end, you're trying to build and foster. Save and salvage. Build and foster. You want to put the work in first. But B ain't no baby, sir. We have to get to the point where real conversation is normal. And having to say what you have to say. And all of these other phrases, oh, I was taken aback by what he said. Girl, can you believe what he said? Hell yeah, believe it if he said it. Because we're not wasting our time. And we're only here for the moment that we're here for until we decide that these are moments that we can continue to build on. If you're not providing it, if you're not showing it, if you're not displaying it, it probably wasn't even in my cards to do. If you ask and I start to do it, that's a concession. That means now I'm in the process of negotiating or trying to see where this goes. Where do men stop all of that? Is when you wake up and you have these conceived notions about what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and how we should do it. Just like when you were growing up and you dated that boy that your mama don't like. The more she talked about she didn't like it, the more you love. Conversation is how you progress and move a relationship forward. Not by listening to rap songs and videos, not by listening to R&B slow songs. It's about communication, conversation, and the willingness to hear each other. If you're not doing that, it's because I didn't want to, and I ain't.
And it's in all honesty up front. It's the things that we talked about for so long, for so many times, that keep coming back to every single topic, is that you must have these conversations. you you must have these conversations.
Half the time you didn't like it, you have to drive mom crazy.
Exactly. Because you knew she was gonna have something to say. You knew that was gonna be the thing that she was gonna continuously fuss at you about. And what did that do? That drove you harder to just go for something. You knew she was right, but you weren't gonna let her know she was right. Like she knew, and you knew too. But just because she said it, that drove you even harder to go against what it was that she was saying. And that's how we operate sometimes. Even against our own selves, we feel and we know when something and somebody is not right for us. But sometimes we fight our own selves just because of whatever. We talked about we fight our own selves. Fight your own intuition, fight your own some stuff that you've seen with your own eyes, some stuff we fight against those things for whatever reason. Sometimes we talked about we fight against it because he had a good, you know what I'm saying? Okay. We fight against it because he spent a little time with you. We fight against ourselves because he showed you a little attention. He might have took you out, maybe. We'll definitely fight against ourselves for that one. You will fight against yourself for the bare minimum. You accept the bare minimum, the bottom of the barrel. You accept that and you fight everything that you feel, think, and know to hold on to the bare minimum. That's all you've been given. That's all you've been shown. And you fight against your own self.
He was a
and you fought yourself for that. You fought yourself for that. Went against everything else that you know and believe just because he was a good plumber. He gave you the bare minimum. We've had conversations about the after midnights. That's the only time he's available is after midnight. That's the only time he can show up at your house is after midnight. The only time you see him is after dark. But you fight against everything that you know and believe, everything that you say that you want and you desire. You fight against those things to hold on to the bare minimum. And being a good plumber is the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum. If there was anything else he wanted to do with you and for you, he would. But just because you're okay and you accept that's good enough for me, you accept that, then that's all you're gonna get. That's exactly what you're gonna get because that you said I'm okay with that. He a plumber and that's all I need right now. But you say to yourself when you're alone, when he's wherever he is, and you laying in bed alone or you home alone and you don't want to go to dinner by yourself, but you can't call him to go to dinner with you. He's not going to offer to take you out. He's not going to do anything other than what you allow him to do because that's what you allow him to do. We've talked about so many times. Right, Johnson. What more is there? There has to be more than that, right? In order for there has to be more than that. That's the bare minimum. Being that is the bare minimum, right? It's like once you get that, then what else is there? What else do you have to go with that? What else is there to you other than that?
Well, the problem is as women, you don't recognize that.
That's big fact.
Because every song says he got to slap it up, flip it, and rub it down.
Big fact.
So you get caught up in that. So again, you get what you asked for. Because all you wanted was some good sex.
That's it.
All you wanted was some good heat.
I agree.
Train past to Mexico. So you do all the stuff
to get just that.
Yeah. So one day you wake up by yourself and then you're wondering why you don't have more. You didn't have more because you didn't ask for more. You accepted the bare minimum, or you established the bare minimum, because you could have been the one that picked up the phone and said you coming over, the kids sleep.
Absolutely.
Do you read a book? Nope. All I know is left it right and tight, left it loose. That's all I know. To fix plumbing, that's all I know. Right and tight, left it loose. But what you've done is you have set a precedent.
Yeah.
You have set an expectation. If they wanted more, they would give you more. They're content to accept the plate that you gave them. The plate that you gave them was come on over when the kids are asleep. The plate that you gave them was you can get it in the car, you can get it in the stairwell, you can get it at mama's house in the basement. That's the plate that you gave. Some people only want just that and the money, but be home crying and boo-hoo out to their friends. Now it says deal with it. And so if you want it, when we say if they want it, what you probably figured out halfway through this conversation is the they is you. The they is not them. Here we go with them pronouns. The they is you. You allowed it. You started it. When are you going to change it? If you wanted to change it, then they would. Because then we have to get on board. And ladies, you know, that room about we was dumb men, nah, not so much now. We get together and talk about how y'all think y'all playing us and how you think you setting the table for whatever. It's general conversation. Don't get caught up in it. If you say you want it, then do the things to get something that is worth getting. Not the stuff that got you home crying and talking to your girlfriend. What's going on, Cliff?
You have to do.
Because I'm not gonna answer how much am I worth. I'm not gonna answer that question. So if you ask me that question, I'm gonna look at you like you're crazy. Why do you need to know how much I'm worth? I'm confused. I'm waiting on the answer on that. No, you should not get an answer. And if it's a man on here, he bet not answer that question. Why are we talking about my net worth at a point when we don't even know who we are and haven't established where we're going? And if my net worth is that important to you, it's worth me to stop talking to you, because a real man ain't finna disclose all that day 1 through day 30. We ain't even trying to hear that. Don't be trying to talk about what's in the water. That's an instant turnoff. That is an instant turnoff. What you should be able to understand is, oh, I wanted to go out and he was able to take me out.
Actions.
As the grandmama said, it's not what come out your mouth that make it nasty. It's what you put in it. Be careful about the conversations that you start. I think she means, what is his worth? What is he worth to himself? He's worth whatever you gave him. Back in the day when I was stuck, I was stupid, maybe. Me and the right one and learning the value of myself gave me a new perception and new requirements.
Absolutely. And where does that come from? That comes from knowing yourself. Mm-hmm. That comes from understanding who you are, what you have in you, what you have to offer, and what it is that you're looking forward to. Those are things that you have to put in the work to accomplish.
Mhm.
Those are the things that you have to know about yourself up front. Like I said, back in the day when we were all stupid, we accepted a whole lot of stuff. We did a whole lot of stuff because we wanted somebody else to accept us when we didn't even accept ourselves. We wanted somebody else to love us when we didn't even love ourselves. So we didn't know what love looked like. We just accepted whatever they gave us because that's who we wanted. And whatever they gave us, we accepted that as love. However it came, whatever it came with, we accepted that as love because we wanted that person. Not that that person loved you in any manner other than to get what it is that they wanted from you. People will show and do all kinds of things to get what they want, but because there was no self-worth, there was no self-love, there was no anything that was going on good with self, I accepted whatever it is that they put out there. And it was like, okay, if he do this, then he loved me. If he do that, then he loved me. That's a whole lie. He doing that to get what he want. He doing that to keep you around to be available whenever it is that he wants you to be available. Love had nothing to do with that. But in time, when you take the time to learn who you are, when you take the time to figure out where it is that you are in your life and the things that you want going forward in your life, then that's when you get a new perspective. That's when new requirements come about. That's when you set boundaries. That's when you say, hey, wait a minute. That ain't what I want. That don't look like what I want. That don't feel like what I want. And that's not what I want. If, like I said, we have to be accountable for the things that we do, the things that we accept, the things that we have to take responsibility for that stuff. People do things that you allow them to do, or they don't do things that you allow them not to do. Like we talked about last week. When do you choose you? You keep doing everything for everybody else, expecting them to do the same in return. And when you don't get that, then what do? You continue to do. The more you do, you think they're gonna give that to you in return. You've already shown that what you're willing and capable of. Like I said, people know who you are in their life, and they treat you the way you allow them to treat you.
His conversation, I need to know what level of general social self-respect he has. Okay.
Definitely. You want somebody respectable. You want somebody, and I want you to love you. Then I'll know that you understand how to love me. But if you don't love and take care of you, then how? You don't even know what that looks like for yourself, and you should always be the most important person in your life. You should always be a priority, and you don't know how to love and respect and take care of yourself. How can I expect for you to do that for me?
Don't minimize your worth. So back in the day, there was a song that said, "It ain't tricking if you got it." Well, I always had a hustle. I had a full-time job. I was a DJ. I had a full-time job. I was on the radio. I had a very good full-time job. So if I decide to just trick off, it's because I chose to trick off with a woman or a female instead of tricking off with a bunch of dudes. That does not give you a place, status, or position at that particular point in time. Let me ride that thing. If I decided to trick you off, it's because I had the money. And at that particular time, I decided that I was going to waste my time with a woman, a lady, a girl, a boo thing, whatever she was, at that moment, instead of hanging out with some dudes. That did not give you any position, status, or place in my life. You were occupying what? Space and time. Don't get confused with hanging out at the club or going out to a basketball game and you find out you're the only girl. Don't get confused. Don't let Applebee's on the date night. Don't let that confuse you and your mind gets clouded because he took you to Applebee's and you got 2 for $35. With the 6-ounce steak and the mashed potatoes and the broccoli on the side. Don't let that fool you. What you need to understand is If he wanted to take you somewhere, if he wanted to elevate you, if he wanted to make that special, then he would. A lot of times, ladies, you get caught up in just the general stuff that men will do.
To get where they want. And most of them are only doing it to get to a certain space. They're only doing it to get what they want. Where is the time and where is the conversation and time where you require more than that? We've talked about the basics. We've talked about the bare minimum. We've talked about the bare minimum. The bare minimum. And we've talked about having the conversations up front where you disclose all of the things that he needs to know. You give him the roadmap that leads him right to where he's trying to get. You told him everything you like. You told him everything. You disclosed everything that he needs to get to right to where he's aiming to go. His intentions, they could possibly change along the way. You could, things could take a turn for the left and become something serious. Or it could be another one of those where you've given him all that he needed to play along just enough, bare minimum, basics. One call, one text, one whatever. And you okay with that? You okay with it? Because if he wanted to do more than that, trust me, he'd do more than that. If she wanted to do more than that, trust me, she'd do more than that. But all because you gave them all of those things that they needed just to do the bare minimum, that's all they're going to do. You have to look at, like I said last week, you have to look at what it is that you're doing and what it is that you're getting in return. If you're desiring more, but you're doing more and getting less, something's wrong with it.
Just say that one more time for the people in the back.
If you're doing more,
M-O-R-E.
Mo. No.
M-O.
If you're doing mo and getting less, what does that mean?
L-E-S-S.
What does that mean?
That means you putting out more than you receive. Okay.
What does that mean? What does it mean?
You damn fool. It means that dog ain't gonna hunt. It means that somewhere along the line you headed down the road of Heartbreak Hotel.
They got a key for you. They waiting on you to come on.
Check in, check out.
Check in your room at Heartbreak Hotel. If you keep doing more.
And receiving less.
Keep doing more and receiving less. They got a key for you at Heartbreak Hotel.
When men are invested in you, we invested in things that will make you better. We're also invested in things that will make our life better.
Definitely.
We're invested in coming over to your little one-bedroom apartment and things ain't right, so we might want to buy you a little end table or a bigger TV. May want to get you a stereo or something like that. We're investing in a future. Those people are moving. We have made a conscious effort to move. Women end the investigation too soon. That's because they're listening to that music. And that music telling them they got to have pressure and they want to refill and all that time. You a booty calling aside people. Never would be like, well, come on, Deborah Vassapela. That's one of them. That's one of those. That's one of them old rich names right there. Deborah Vassapela, MD. That's what I'm talking about. People, this is it befuddles me because I have because I have been on both sides. Cliff knows Jay. Cliff probably knows me when I was at my worst, and he knows me now that I'm at my best. So the things I'm telling you are things that I've actually lived. I was one of the few people that had a university contract in school where I was contracted to DJ all of the dances, all of the homecoming concerts, all of the Def Jam comedies that came through. So I was tricky because I had it. But was there ever any idea in my mind that whoever I was tricking with, we was going on the long, vacation, the long walk? Hell no. But ladies, when you put yourself in that position and you think that it's a position of elevation, that is not a position of elevation. Touched on, hey, bro, sometimes we got to tell. Sometimes you just got to tell the people what the people need to hear. I ain't say I was a pimp or nothing back there, Cliff. I just said that I didn't care back then. And sometimes people have to understand you learn from your mistakes, right? So how does it come to me that I can openly share this information? Because there was years and years and years of me having some in-between women and some part-time women and never having nothing that I could hold on to, lock on to, and build to create a house. So one day you start looking and you start thinking about how many thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and hours and hours and hours you wasted. And when you do that, whole lot. See, there she goes. You did what? You did who? You was a DJ for who? They don't know. So when you're able to do those things, and you can look back and reflect, it is time to share. It's been past time to share this information. It's been time to have some real talk about elevating your status and picking people that wanted to and will.
That's the thing. Having somebody that wants to and will, because we are in relationships and situationships and all kinds of stuff that you will, but they won't. I said, you doing. The receiving is not the same as the doing. What's going out is not the same as what's coming back. So you are sticking and staying, like we talked about last week. You're hanging on, hoping and praying and wishing that you get in return what it is that you're giving. They've already shown you however many times you needed them to show you, but for whatever reason,
you didn't believe.
You didn't believe it. But you've been shown multiple times that this is what you're going to get. This is all you're going to get. But you hang on to whatever it is that you're hanging on to, for whatever reason that you're holding on to it. But you're unsatisfied. You are unsatisfied in a situation that you continue to hold on to. How hard is it to just walk away? If you are not happy, how hard is it to? It is hard. I understand. I've been there, been down that road. But it takes me understanding how important I am to me, where my happiness truly comes from. Me. It comes from me. But you've given all of your power. Shut up. You've given all of your power to somebody else to make you happy. That comes from you. They add to that. They invest in your happiness if that's what they want to do. They do it if they want to do it.
Now, mine wasn't ready at that time. It was turn the trick here, turn the trick there.
At 100% truth.
Amen.
Right. That's it, Jocelyn. It's a rope. You gotta cut it. You gotta walk on your own 2 feet and walk away from a situation that you're unhappy in and choose you. Last week we said, when do you choose you? When you keep getting the things or not getting the things that you desire, the things that you deserve. You're not getting that, but you choose to stay. They're only giving you what you allow them to give, whatever it is that you allow. They keep you around, do just enough to keep you around, just enough to hold on to you for whatever it is that they need you for. How many times have we talked about indentured servitude? That's not a relationship. That's a slave master situation. They expect for you to do everything for them, but when you need them, You're a problem. You're a bother. Your concerns are not important. Why you making a big deal out of everything? Why this? Why this? Why that? When you need them, but when they, well, right.
Tasha grabbed me by my ear.
That's it, Tasha. Hold on.
I might have been out there when she grabbed you, Cliff.
I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of her.
Sometimes you just at a point where you got to look back at yourself. Nah, became a track star. Sometimes you have to look at yourself, and you got to say,
Yep.
self. Self has to say, huh? I got to do better, and I want better. I got to do better, and I want better. There's some examples out there on Facebook. We'll probably get into that on another show about things that when roles are starting to reverse and women are starting to do the things that men traditionally are supposed to do, like getting on one knee and proposing for marriage and doing some things. Because if you have expressed to me that you wanted to be in a place where we should be talking about marriage and relationships, I don't need you to wait until we go to Applebee's to get on your knee in front of your girls to ask me to marry you. Because that's just not the way I was cut. The cloth wasn't cut like that. My cloth was purple and gold. It was not yellow. We got to get to a place where there are defined roles, defined expectations. And if you want to use the word requirements, go right ahead. These are things that I require. And if you can't give me that, you keep on pushing. Because that you're not going to be for me. Right? I don't need, we had that conversation. All of that I don't need from you. That I think at that point, she thought traditionally a male suitor would want from a woman. I don't need you buying me Jack. I just need you to be there for conversation, for talk, for peace, for some serenity. We can worry about all the other stuff later. But that is a conversation that you have to have ahead of time. What do you want out of a relationship? Because if they knew what you wanted and they were down with it, they would give it to you. But because you have not expressed it, because if you have not said, because you have not told, then a lot of times we just not going to do. We're not going to do because you're not requiring us to do. Calling you at 11:30 is all right. PM, that is. Coming over when the kids sleep is all right. Taking you, getting you a 2-piece from Popeyes is all right. I wish I would get on my knees to propose anything, but help me find my earring. Exactly. Give one another the option to say, I can do it, I want to do it, or not.
That's it. That is it.
But we are so in a rush, ladies and gentlemen, to find something. I don't think at all that you said you was in a rush to find love or a mate. You in love with the fact of having a relationship. You're not in love with the relationship. You're in love with the idea of having a relationship. And that's how you end up with your body count being, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 people. Because you never thought about, I want a relationship. I'm not in love with a relationship. That has to be a difference. It's a different train of thought. It's a different idea. It hits home. It does make you think about what the hell have I been doing for years and years and years. But it's about that time. It's about that time to do better. It's about that time to know better. It's about that time to hear better. Hear better stuff. Hear stuff that elevates you. Hear stuff that makes you better. Don't hear things that bring you down. Don't hear things that make you mediocre. I always look for elevation. If you can't get there on my level, it's the old song. If you can't get on my level or take me up a couple of another levels, we're not doing this because I'm wasting my time. And picking up an ass of spirits. Now you have to work to get rid of all them for peace.
Exactly. And that's like I said last week, Jocelyn. You move to the next, but you still got all the stuff from the one that you just walked away from. Now you took all the stuff that you picked up from that one and you've taken it to the next one. You haven't taken the time to do anything for you before you're on to the next one. You haven't taken the time. Heal yourself, get your mind together, get your spiritual and mental in line with each other before you take all the stuff that you brought with you. You bag lady, you gonna hurt your back carrying all them bags. Bag lady, put them down, put them bags down. Sometimes you gotta unpack the bag. Like we go on vacation, come home with the suitcase. A week later, it's still sitting there. We've been at home a whole week, but we ain't touched that bag. We just got it out the car and brought it in the house. It's some dirty clothes in that bag. It's some things in that bag that need to come out when you get home. Unpack that bag. And that's just like moving from person to person. You haven't unpacked any of the baggage. You haven't healed from any of the damage. You haven't taken time to figure out actually what happened. Sometimes it is you. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes you are the problem. Sometimes you need to admit that you are the problem. That's it. That's just how it is when you're in the place of accepting who you are. Knowing me, I know that there are some things that I've had to say. Okay, that was your fault. That was your fault.
When you said that?
Shut up.
Where was I? Where was I when you said that? I was asleep, I guess. I ain't heard that, y'all. I ain't never heard that.
It was your fault. That one was on me. That was my fault. I accepted that. I allowed that. Say that to yourself.
Yes, Lord.
You have to be accountable for your actions. You had some type of role to play in situation. In every situation, you have some type of role to play, and you are not always the victim. You are not always the victim. You had something to do with how the situation played out. In the beginning, you talked too much, or however that went. And somewhere down the road, something happened. Accept your part in that. Deal with that with yourself. And then be ready to move on when that time comes. That doesn't mean next Friday you at the club, you at the wherever, and now you on to the next one. That means sit down somewhere. Sit down with yourself. That's a hard thing to do, is to sit down with yourself when you dealing with yourself, when you going through some things.
Set those points that you felt damaged on the table before making him fight to get over that wall.
The one that comes after dealing with the one that was before him. Sit down somewhere. Just sit down somewhere, and that means sit with yourself and get that together with you. But it's easy. Pick that bag up that you just left from over here with, and take it over there and dump it on him. Sit down and have the conversation. I had a conversation with somebody a couple of weeks ago. I told them everything that I had been through. They said they understood, but now they do the exact same thing. I told them everything I had been through. They said they were different, but they do the exact same thing. Why are you still there? If you tell somebody what you've been through, the things that you dealt with, the things that you aren't willing to deal with again, and they give you that same thing, that same, why are you still there? Why is that even a question? Why is there even a fight? Why is there even a whatever? Because if they wanted to, they would be different, do different, say different if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But they've shown you, they've told you, they've given you everything that was the opposite of what you told them that you wanted and needed. Why are you still there? When do you choose you? When? At what point in it? You're basically wasting your time if you don't choose you. Because if they wanted to do something different, they would. If they wanted you in the way that you want them, they do something different. But they want you for whatever reason it is that they want you, and it's not the same reason that you want them. Choose you. Always choose you.
They're not ready to leave or afraid to leave.
Earl.
And if they're not ready, they're not ready.
True.
You know, there has to come a time when that is all revealed, right? Investment, people, is what, when people are into you, they will invest in you. They will pour into you. They will say things that challenge you to be better. They will do things to push you to be better. They will provide opportunities for you to do better. Because that's what they want. They want to see you win. No man wants a loser under his arm. Okay, nobody challenged that. No, nobody said nothing on that. We want somebody who's forever progressing and who's forever moving. We don't want the same trainer from 2014 and 2022. We want there to have been some growth and some changes and some different viewpoints and some different opinions. And by now we started to build, and we're building and we're growing. Now I can invest in something because I see a future. There's no future in calling me at 11:30. There's no future in calling me diploma. That's true because we are women. We don't want a laser either. There you go. A loser either. There it is. You don't. You don't. That's what drives a woman to ask about what kind of job do you have? What do you do? Do you own any property? You may not ask him what kind of car he drives because you're going to snoop around and figure that out. You want to know where he stays. You know why? Because you're trying to gauge what type of individual or man that you're hanging around and you wasting your time with. You know, women who have children are much more diligent in this process. Should be much more diligent in this process because you got to be careful who you bring around your children.
Mm-hmm.
Your children shouldn't have 72 uncles. You know, the brothers and then all the boyfriends become uncles too. You know, that's just, in the Black community, we're so caught up with giving people titles. That's your uncle, that's your auntie, that's your nephew, that's your cousin.
And related to
Ain't fourth down the line, twice removed. That was Aunt Bam's son. And you don't remember? No, we don't remember no Aunt Bam. I ain't never met an Aunt Bam. I don't know. The one on TV, maybe. But you have to get to a point to where what's important to you has to be important to the person that you're pouring your energy and time to. She said, can he read a book? Can he do some lessons with your children? Can he count to 20? Can he multiply, add, subtract, and divide? Because, you know, just because you can count ones, tens, and fives doesn't mean that you are good at addition.
Right? I swear, I don't know if my grandfather had a third grade education, but there was no way you couldn't tell him how much money he had. Right? Like, money that's a whole different counting system than regular math, right? Because you can count money, that don't mean you get, like I said, my grandfather, there was no way you couldn't tell him You could hand him a stack of money and he could count it out to you. But I don't believe that my grandfather had passed a third grade education.
Didn't help you with that math homework.
Yeah, couldn't have none of that. But he could count, money. And that's the same thing with Pookie and Ray Ray on from around the block, right? Just because you can count a band, just because you can count a stack, that don't mean that, like you said, that you can help little Junior with his homework or none of that kind of.
If you're not in the family photo, you're not kid.
That we gotta stop telling them kids that that's your uncle. Man.
That's your uncle. Or at least make sure that when you give the person the title, he has done something to earn that title. Can your uncles were the one that pulled you to the side and told you when you was messing up. Your uncles was the one that told you get out the club and go home. Your uncles was the one that told you that girl wasn't for you, although you did not listen. These are people who are influential in your life and have given you advice, whether we accepted it, understood it, or heeded the message that was given. At some point, we find out that they was really trying to tell us something. Make sure that you are vetting your people. Make sure that your person can stand in that role. Make sure that you're doing things and that person questions why you're doing them. And he might not be questioning why you're doing it just to get on your nerve. He may be questioning to see if he can make the process better. Open communication, open conversation. So let me tell you what happened to me about a person I walked away from really quick, a person we were attempting to rekindle a relationship. The person bragged on his money and what he spent and how much it cost. He has a good job, but how in the world, when you bring someone home, you say, I don't do rich and live in a good neighborhood. I almost fell out laughing. If you make money and he's still staying in the shack, something wrong.
Yeah, the bragging, like some things you don't even have to talk about.
Right.
Because they will show themselves. Some things you just you at especially at points in especially in the dating phase. There are some things there, open conversation, meaningful conversation, intentional conversation. Definitely. I need to know, if I need you, that you're able or whatever. But to brag about, that kind of thing is like, those are flags. We don't collect red flags. We already talked about that. And some things are just that. It's like, why is there a need for you to always interject what it is you have into a conversation? If in every conversation somebody has to tell you about what they have, that's, for me, that's a problem. Why does that define who you are? Because of what you have. I need to know what's on the inside of here. I need to know what's on the inside of here, not what you have in your pocket, your wallet, your bank account. Some things, those things are, important in life, in things that you're trying to do, and in some places that you're trying to go. But I need to know that your mental is okay. I need to know that your spiritual is okay. I need to make sure that your physical is in good condition. We need to talk about those things.
He knows that I'm not impressed.
Right, like, right, like that's like bare minimum stuff, right?
My friend, my kids don't fool with the real ones, so that's a negative. My girl's going to learn and develop. We break cycles over here.
Yes.
This is not a band party. Ain't no coming over here.
And we definitely need to do better with the cycle breaking. That's a conversation that we're gonna have. I had that conversation with somebody recently about generational curses and cycles and stuff, stigmas and all kinds of stuff that we just don't talk about. All right, what good stuff we got there?
Jalations, we set a standard by what we allow.
Choosing.
Jalations, you have to know things about yourself up front before you enter any dynamic so that you know what's acceptable and what's not.
Mhm.
If you want to change it.
Simple, right?
When you take the time to know what you want in life for yourself, you will set boundaries for what comes to you. Sometimes you must look at yourself and say, I got to do better and I want better. If they don't love and take care of themselves, how can they love and take care of you? Know, know what you want in a relationship and be willing to state those things as a requirement. All right now. Stop talking so much and telling all of your secrets. If it allows a person to take the info, it allows the person to take the info and use it to get what they want. It's time to do better, know better, and hear better.
That's good.
If you're doing more and receiving less, they have a key for you at Heartbreak Hotel. When people are into you, they will invest in you because they want to see and win with you. Mm-hmm. Unpack and release the previous pain and hurts. Learn your lessons and better yourself for a greater future. Mm-hmm. No one wants a loser on their own. You are not always the victim. Accept your part, deal with it, and move on. What's important to you should be important to the one you're dating. Well, now, if you tell someone what you've been through and they put you through the same stuff, why are you still there? Choose you. If you give a person a title, be sure that they've earned that title before it is given or was given. Amen.
Amen.
Those are some.
Let the church say amen.
Those are some great captions. Again, the captions are designed to sum up what we've done in an hour and give you something to think about. Hopefully you write them down, you go back on this live and you play your segments and you adopt some of these sayings or some of these J-lations and K-lations as part of your daily life, right? We also say that this show is also open to your children. Very few times do you hear us saying things that your children cannot hear. I know a couple of people on here used to make and sometimes still do have their children watch those shows to get another view, to get another understanding coming from someone other than mother and father. It's all about betterment. It's all about improvement. It's all about making yourself better. It's all about bringing peace within you and understanding that we all go through these struggles and battles, but when people overcome, it's not time to be silent. It's time to talk about how you were able to overcome those battles and hopefully help a sister, brother out that you're having that conversation with along the way.
And that's the thing about sharing. That's why we appreciate, our regulars that come on and share your stories with us as well. Like I said, this is moments of real things that we've been through. This is how we've dealt with things and how dealing with those things have gotten us to where we are now. Like I said, we had our struggles and our battles in the beginning, but the things that we did to get past those, get through those, and move on to get to where we are sitting here today is the things that we share with you.
Stay on here. Oh, okay. All right.
Hey, niece and nephew.
What up? What up?
The things that our struggles are what we share. It's the things that we've been through, the things that we think that people don't talk about enough, or the things that people, questions that people are afraid of. But to have us here sharing our real life story, nothing about this is scripted, nothing about this is from anywhere other than what K and J has actually been through. Like I said, we've known each other for a very long time. We've known each other for a very long time, but we've been through things in our reconnect a few years ago. Life changed. It took us places. Once we separated the first time, life took us on a separate journey, and things happened on those journeys that we had to deal with when we came back together. So it's sharing who we are and how we, manage our relationship and how we've gotten to the point of being able to sit here and share our story with you guys is the reason that we do this. Having this conversation, like I said, I have conversations with so many people outside of here that comes back to here. When you get to the point where you're willing to share your story with a stranger, where you're willing to bare your soul and pour out your heart to a stranger because you're at a frustrated point. And I can only tell you what I've been through, how I managed to get through the things that I went through, and how we've put all of our cards on the table to get us to the point where we are today. We had to do the things that we talk about. We did the things that we talk about. In the beginning, we had to figure out the proper way to communicate with each other, because the way we talk to other people are not the way that we talk to each other. Like the things that I went through, we had the conversations. I've been down this road. I'm not going down that road again. I'm coming out of this. I can't deal with this again. I've been here. I can't go, and I can't go there again. Those are the conversations that we had in the very beginning. And we had a segment on here talking about road speed bumps. And, like I said, all of the things that we talk about are things that we have lived and things that we are currently living. Like we said, take time for you, choose you, and your partner will choose you when they know that you choose yourself. It's easy to choose. It's easy to love somebody that love themselves because they make it easy. I know what you like, what you need, and what you desire. And it makes it so much easier for me to give you that when I see you giving it to yourself. All I have to do is follow the things that you do. Because you choose you, it makes it easy for me. So it's just, if they want to, trust me, then that's with anybody, not even in a relationship. That's with anybody in your life, anybody that you allow in your space. If they want to, they will. People will do whatever it is that they want to do if they really want to do it. If they genuinely care about you, if they genuinely want you, if they genuinely want to be with you, the effort, you won't have to question the effort. You won't have to question. You'll be surprised, like me, when I got that phone call and said, I'm in Atlanta. When I got that phone call and said, I'm in Charlotte. When I got that phone call and said, hey, where we meeting at? Like, all the effort, to be there, you won't have to question those things. And I can stop accepting the bare minimum, because if they wanted to do more, they would do more, and it would be authentic. It will be genuine. It will be all of those. You won't have to question. You won't have to cry yourself to sleep at night. You won't have to ask a million questions about anything that it is that they do or don't do. You won't have to beg for anything. It will come to you if that's really what they want to do. If they want to give it to you in the way that they know, people know what you deserve. You should know what you deserve. If you don't understand what you deserve, then you'll allow them to give you whatever it is that they think you deserve, and it might not be the same.
The doors of the church are now open. It's been real. Another hour has come. Another hour has flown by. We're here every Wednesday, 7:30 to 8:30. Real Talk with K and J. Like, click, share, turn your notifications on. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, of course. And look, and like our page, we post questions, things that are thought provoking. Some of those are motivational. Some of those just want you to reflect on what your life has been and what you're trying to change into your life. Once again, this is Real Talk with K and J. I am Jay, aka the dog.
And I am K, aka Cat.
And we'll see you next week. Peace.